You're finally at that hot new spot, the one your friends keep raving about, sitting across from your date. It's going...
Another round?
Really well. And that dish you've been dying to try, oh, it's headed your way. You can smell it, hear it sizzling fresh off that skillet as it comes closer, closer, and served. Go ahead, enjoy. After your phone sneaks a bite first. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Waiting for this light to turn green. I'm headed to work for a boss so mean. I'm gonna be late. She's gonna be...
There are some things we should do alone, like sing in your car.
If this light doesn't turn, I'm gonna scream.
But when you gamble, you should always do it with others, because gambling with friends helps keep things in check. So go to keepitfunohio.com for more tips like this. Keep it fun, keep it social, but your singing? Maybe keep that to yourself.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Oh, you're in luck. We like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins, here with the returning from vacation, Chris Novembrino. Chris, what did you do on your summer vacation?
Hawkins, I got to sit by this fabulous lake and take in really nice sunrises for several days. And we went out on a dope boat, and I sat on the front of it and had the wind in my face. And
Hold on. When you say dope boats,
like it was just a really, it was a
like
really
a marijuana cruiser. Or are we talking?
Oh God, I wish. No, I'm just saying a real bitchin' boat. No. Like, goodness, take a good vacation and make it great then. But this was.
We went drug running in the Keys. That's what.
Hell
we were
yeah,
doing.
that's a good time. But wind in my face, baby. 50 pounds under my butt.
We were busted by the Coast Guard. It turned into Midnight Express. Where'd you go?
We went to Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay.
Right at the end of season. So they stopped basically in mid-September. Like they were already, businesses were shutting down and winding down for the season and stuff. Like it was like one of the last weekends there. I will say I had like the worst Italian food I've ever had in my life while we were there. We went to an Italian, like the lake food was.
And
really
you hang out at Olive Garden, so that's a bold statement.
Oh, bro, no. The chicken marsala at Olive Garden made the chicken marsala at Domenico's seem like 5-star cuisine. The chicken marsala I had at this place was like breaded and fried and then covered in something approximating a mushroom gravy, Hawkins. We were so far divorced from a mushroom wine sauce that I don't even think it's fair to... This was much more like fried chicken with a mushroom gravy than it was chicken marsala, which shocked and horrified me.
I tried frying my own chicken for the first time this week.
You didn't call it chicken marsala, did you?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay,
no.
Then I support and
I had
acknowledge
a nice,
and appreciate.
Yeah, we'll do a little cooking talk here before we get it. Yeah, a little half buttermilk, half pickle brine, marinade for a couple days. Kind of, went really well, I think. Trying to do the old Southern cooking thing because I kind of miss the South occasionally. Not that I can't get good chicken out here in LA. You can. Don't post it on social media, so maybe come shoot you. But other than that, I don't know. Did you hear about some rap guy was at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? His girlfriend texted out, and some guy came down and tried to rob him and then shot him. I was like, that's why I tell people, don't tell them what we're eating. They may come rob us.
They have Roscoe's out in California?
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles is California.
Oh, okay. I guess they have them out here in Texas too.
It started out here. It's down on Union, and then there's one in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, going into the wrestling news, we have some news to catch up on. Oh, first of all, thank you very much to Rob McCarron for filling in admirably for one Chris Novembrino.
Oh, and let me just say, much love from the STR community, and right back at all of you. I know I was missed, and I missed all of you too. Much love. That's a kiss. That's a kiss on the microphone.
But seeing as we recorded on Thursday last week, we do have Friday and Saturday's news as part of this. So some of this may seem a little bit old, but it's new to us. The main event for Crown Jewel, Chris, announced Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. That's an interesting
choice. What could go wrong? No, look, I think it's an interesting choice. I know the conventional wisdom is that this sucks and we all hate it. And I can't sit here and tell you like this is the dream match or anything that I like fantasize over. I don't care for Logan Paul. He's not even a fun person for me to hate. I find him boring and annoying, but like not like annoying like I want to see him get punched, although I acknowledge that he's a horrible guy and whatever. I just don't care enough. So he doesn't quite do it for me. But looking at it from the perspective of WWE, I think this is a really interesting move. I think that especially for these Saudi Arabia shows, he's kind of the perfect casting for this. These people want spectacle. That's what they're paying for. That's what the government of Saudi Arabia is paying for. And Logan Paul brings them spectacle, headlines, controversy, all of the things like they want out of that show. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be a great match or anything like that, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it from a business move. That being said, from a television reviewer standpoint, I think it's hilarious the stubborn insistence on casting Logan Paul as a babyface when like everyone effing hates this guy's guts. Everyone hates him. They hate, oh my God, they hate him so much. So the one thing that booking me, I don't think they would do this, but booking me would do this, Hawkins. I would use this as the vehicle for the double turn. I would turn Logan Paul heel and set that cosmically right, and I'd finally turn Roman Reigns. And Logan Paul's like a perfect vehicle for this. If it was happening anywhere other than Saudi Arabia, the crowd would basically be forcing a double turn all throughout the match.
I'm a little higher on it than you are, I think, because I think Logan may carry Roman to a much better match than most of Roman's opponents are able to. He's the ring general. Logan's the ring general here, which is very odd in some ways. No, but here's the disconnect for me, at least. I mean, Saudi Arabia definitely wants a WrestleMania type exposure and the type of event where they will get publicity, and they're definitely gonna get it here. It's just how big are social media stars in the Middle East? Because that seems like a very Western,
a very accessible thing throughout the region. So I would imagine the saturation's near peak.
No, I'm legitimately asking that because it's one of those things where it feels like a purely Western phenomenon to me, and Saudi Arabia may have some Westernness about it. But we ain't quite there yet.
No. Well, ever the bull on progress. I love it.
Well, I mean, if you compare Saudi Arabia to, say, Iran, yes. But
I don't know. Right now, it's their neck and neck.
Compared to Germany, not so much. You know, it's one of those types of things where I'm like, how big is a guy on YouTube /TikTok /whatever in Saudi Arabia? Perhaps I don't know. Maybe you can dress him up. Maybe you can dress him up.
The better known he is, the more disliked he would be, right? Yes. Like if you did this,
they kill him in Saudi Arabia.
No, if you did this in Japan, same thing, right? Like that. Yeah, that's where he made that horrible thing in the Suicide Forest.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Yeah, like the places where he would be well known are the places he'd be ultimately reviled. So
but we could hope for a stunt here if we really want to get rid of him. You never want to wish that necessarily, but at the same time, it's like, that's a possibility that he does something stupid in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and ends up getting stuck on an airplane on the tarmac for a while.
Yes. While security has a talk with the WWE brass. Sure, why not?
What's that man with a bone saw doing going up on the private jet?
as a
That's
match,
weird.
but I'll tell you something. It does as a match fascinate me in many ways. I think, look, Logan Paul has outkicked his coverage in terms of being a good professional wrestler in the ring, and especially in terms of being in the celebrity wing of work rate, so to speak.
I agree on all these things. So let me ask you the $64 question. Do you belt him?
No. God, no. God, no.
Okay.
No, because look, we didn't even belt Drew McIntyre in a place where he needed belting. They were Chris, Drew McIntyre would be a god right now if they had just pulled the trigger in that stadium, because that stadium was one of the hottest crowds WWE has ever had in the last 10 years.
I hear all of that, but they'll always have the memory of Drew McIntyre and Tyson Fury incoherently singing Oasis,
American Pie,
and American Pie.
Oh, I still can't believe that. Anyways, Grand Slam, which broadcast this week across both Dynamite and Rampage on AEW. AEW's first $1 million gate, Chris. I guess the ticket prices are going up a bit. People are willing to pay more, and people are willing to sell. I find this a good thing.
Yeah, not a bad thing. Money's good. It's good for them to make money. I am rooting for companies to be successful. It means more places for wrestlers to work. Survivor
Series has been changed in terms of the branding. It is now War Games Survivor Series, or Survivor Series War Games. I forgot what I was going to put on here. But yes, the main roster going to be doing War Games in Boston in November. I'm a little sad about this, Chris. I love
sanguine.
I'm a little sanguine about it. I'll tell you why. Because I do love me some War Games, and I think there's gonna be 2 War Games matches, 1 men, 1 win. I assume one will be the Bloodline taking on a bunch of baby faces, and the others will be Aunt Pam and Damage Control, and maybe another tag team, perhaps even Toxic Attraction taking on a bunch of baby faces. But I'll, and I'm interested in main roster War Games, even though Triple H is out there saying, I don't think we'll be doing blood. I think that's passe. I'm like, dude, if there's a match, it needs it. 2 reasons. Number one, of course, the usual WWE booking. I want War Games to be when War Games is needed, rather than, oh, it's November, we got to book a War Games. But that's emblematic of the entire company. That's an issue with the company. The other thing is, I don't know about you, but I kind of liked NXT having some things that were special to NXT.
Okay.
And them taking that away a little bit, because they're also bringing in the Fight Pit for Extreme Rules for Matt Riddle. And I thought that was, it's nice that Matt Riddle can have his own kind of gimmick match. I'm fine with that. But NXT having War Games in the main roster, not as much as I wanted the main roster to have War Games. Now that it's been a few years, I kind of liked having NXT have its own kind of special thing like this. But then again, I had forgot all about last year's War Games, and how LA Knight had magically became one of the most over people in the company during the build for that. And that was the old Black and Gold versus the New Blood type of War Games.
That's right. And like LA Knight was on fire. Yeah, right.
Your feelings on this, if any?
Less down on it than you. I think I'm looking at it from the perspective of, it seems like Hunter has interest in revitalizing the Survivor Series to be a more coherent major pay-per-view. And I support
That'll help.
I support that.
Survivor Series had just gone.
No, it'd been really incoherent. They would literally just put 5 people on either side, and it would just, stuff would happen.
And then they tried, T-shirt wars, red versus blue. And, of course, it made Becky Lynch a star, which was great. But on the other hand, it would always be the branding of the one time a year where Raw versus SmackDown fight each other. And yet they'd be fighting like 3 other times in the year, which was,
So you can be down on Damage Control and the Bloodline. But what I'll say on that is that the Bloodline have at least, they're not lighting the world on fire. Listen to any old episodes of this show, especially during the Vince McMahon glory final days. He was not killing it with the booking of the Bloodline as far as Chris Marino was concerned. But the Bloodline has been around for a couple of years now.
I'm going to be praising them in the Lazy River because that
Oh,
Friday segment was fantastic.
No, I know. I have thoughts about the Vince era of some of this booking and the post Vince era for sure. But at least they are coherent, and more importantly, it's not a contrived SmackDown versus Raw for incoherent stakes or like a conclusion that doesn't matter, like when Dolph Ziggler was the sole survivor and that was supposed to mean something for a week.
He took the authority away from the authority, and that lasted all of a week. I remember that one. That was terrible.
Right. So I prefer this, where at least these are established heel factions, and I think they've given it. I'll
give you a subplot to watch for this year's War Games, though, because the women's roster is far more set up to handle this War Games in terms of people who have been in a War Games match than the men's roster. Because I think the only guy on the main roster who has been in a War Games who could possibly be in this match is Kevin Owens. And he was in that one with the Undisputed Era that as a special guest, if you remember that one. Team Ciampa. Right. And unless they decide to do like Miz and Ciampa and a couple other guys. The women, you have Io Shirai, who's been in a couple of these. You have Dakota Kai, she's been in one, and of course the Magnificent Heel turn on the other one. But yes, she was in the one last year in 2021 with Toxic Attraction. You have Bianca Belair has been in a War Games. Rhea Ripley, if you choose to shove her in this as part of the heel team, has been in a War Games. Bailey's been in a Hell in a Cell, so she can take damage. Asuka's been in a Hell in a Cell. She can take damage. Yeah, I think the women's, in terms of being in these types of matches before, I think the women's side of the ledger is a little bit more. It may actually outshine the men because there's more experience on that side.
I think it's a great opportunity. And yes, especially now that the work has changed in the last several weeks here since Vince's departure, I'm very excited to see what a more creatively liberated women's roster will be able to do in a match like this.
Gabe Sapolsky back in WWE Creative. He formerly of Ring of Honor and Evolve. He was cut during the McMahon regime, but of course, pretty friendly with the Triple H regime, so he's also back as well.
Makes sense from a business relationship standpoint. Don't necessarily know that I have a ton of opinions on it one way or another. What's his role going to be?
Just in creative. I think he's probably going to be helping book NXT.
Okay, well, that might actually help NXT a little bit.
Yeah, and
the Evolve experience will certainly port well into NXT.
I believe Ryan Ward's also back there, so they have a lot of black and gold. But I'll give you a little interesting wrinkle here. It has been announced in October. I forget the date. I think it's October 10th. 25th anniversary of DX will be celebrated on Monday Night Raw. Chris, what are the chances that Scissor Me Daddy Ass is chanted and Daddy Ass is not there for the 25th anniversary? Because that's gonna happen. They may hijack that show if they're not careful.
Potentially. No faction has ever captured the hearts and imaginations of the American public like did Generation X.
Well, it also depends on how if they're just gonna make it Shawn and Triple H, great. But Road Dogg's now back in the fold. X-Pac will always take that phone call. China is no longer able to, but
yeah, right.
But that's interesting because if you're gonna do the New Age Outlaws version, and one of them is one of your most over managers in AEW, okay, that's a risk.
It will be weird for them to do DX and have Road Dogg out there, but not Billy Gunn. So I think if you're going to do it, you do Shawn and Hunter nostalgizing about the formation of Proto DX. Rather than, I think that would be the move. And then you probably can circumvent the Scissor Me Ass Daddy stuff.
Yeah, perhaps. Although, who knows if AEW might be friendly towards it. I mean, the deals can be made.
Yeah, deals can be made. And, we never really... On the week where we broke down,
you remember the Cena videos, where they were celebrating that, and a few people from which way was it? Was it WWE on tape for AEW. I can't remember which thing it was, but somebody was celebrating an anniversary.
No, that was Jericho who did an appearance on WWE television.
Yeah, and I think Big Show did as well.
Yeah, right. So,
okay.
I mean,
and Henry.
Look, we obviously talked a lot about the CM Punk portion of the Tony Khan presser, but I feel like maybe lost in that analysis, not that I want to do an extended 20 minutes on now or anything, was talking about Khan's mindset and where his headspace is at, generally speaking, throughout the rest of that press conference. A lot of interesting lines going off on Jim Crockett and that sort of thing. But I kind of, in between the lines here, got this sense that, like, Khan's weirdly upset that WWE doesn't want to do some sort of business with him on some level. So I think, like, he would love to say that, like, oh, yes, we can do business. I know how to do business with them if I have to. Yeah, I think so. I don't know, man.
I'm just always interested in who thinks it's a war and who doesn't. Because it's always one of those things where you hear, well, so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And it's like mostly it's the boys trying to leverage both sides against each other to get a better deal. You know, like you heard the rumor, and this isn't news, so I'm not going to report this, that apparently Bobby Fish was trying to get Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly to quit AEW and come back to WWE with him because WWE wouldn't take him otherwise. You know, it's always one of those things where you're never sure. And, you know, the management, like Triple H says his snide comments occasionally, and Tony says his snide comments occasionally. But I do wonder if there's the occasional, hey, how's it going over there? Oh, it's going great. How's it going in your territory?
No, yeah, right. I guess what I'm saying in my previous statement is that I could totally see Tony Khan being very open to being able to letting them borrow Billy Gunn for an evening. And sort of, you know, just sort of show that he's, like, willing to do such things. You know, doesn't bother me. Yeah, I'll let Billy Gunn go on their television.
Ratings talk, you know, football is king. So, of course, Monday Night Raw was down. I'm not terribly worried, especially with 2 NFL games there. I mean, they did fairly well against a doubleheader, and especially, hey, let's give props to WWE putting the women in the main event slot there. Yeah, they lost some viewers because that was the prime viewing time for both of those games, but I believe they would have been 7th on the week overall. But AEW over 1 million, Smackdown holding its own. I mean, the changes in WWE have been very, very positive. Let's put it that way. And AEW has found some nice footing off of the controversy. So I have no big opinions on ratings talk, to be honest with you.
No, I have no big opinions on ratings talk, and I'm sort of with you. I think they reflect the current quality of the program fairly decently too. Like they're like in line with it. Increased interest with what I would consider to be a better product on both shows.
And just before we get into both the ad read and the lazy river, new champions across the board this week. Chris Jericho, your new Ring of Honor champion. The Acclaimed, your new AEW tag team champions. Solo Sikoa, no longer the North American champion in NXT. Had to give up the title because he quote unquote wasn't eligible. So that will be fought in a Halloween Havoc, 5-way, 6-way ladder match, something like that. Basically, guys are going to be falling from high on tall things onto metal and shortening their careers. That'll be fun.
Hawkins, oftentimes you ask me the same question over and over and over and over again. It drives me crazy. I will be minding my own business, and here will come another classic Hawkins repeat question. One of them is, hey, Chris, what is HelloFresh? And I tell him, with HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Hawkins often gets the numbers confused. It's #1, Hawkins. You can savor every last second of summer with HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers fresh, quality produce from the farm to your door in less than a week, allowing you to enjoy delicious flavors of the season right from home. Skip the grocery store. Skip it and spend more time soaking up the last of the summer sun. You can be like your boy Novi, sitting on a deck, taking in that sun. HelloFresh is a one-stop shop for all your mealtime needs with a curated selection of quick breakfasts, lunches, snacks.
Breakfast is
But I nailed it.
You
Desserts and more. Hawkins, it's HelloFresh. This is what HelloFresh is. Quit laughing at me and internalize it this week.
Yes.
Goodness. One time we even had HelloFresh, Hawkins. Don't you recall? The
do.
food was delicious. You were like, I love the cheddar cheeseburgers. Remember? This is probably ringing a bell now,
Is
right?
that what I said? Okay.
Yeah, I love the cheddar cheeseburger.
Right.
You said just like that. You're like, hello, Chris. I love the cheddar cheeseburgers. I'm like, there's no context for that. But I know that we got a free box of meals from HelloFresh and that I'm also enjoying the hamburger kit. And so now I have context for what you're trying to say to me. So if you go to HelloFresh.com/VOWVOW16 and use the code VOWVOW16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes, and you'll get 3 free gifts. So that's VOW16 at HelloFresh.com using that code VOW16VOW16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Thank you to HelloFresh for their sponsorship. Chris, I often tell you you're number 1. You just can't see it because the camera's off.
No, you're always saying it with your fingers.
That's still saying it. Anyways, on to the lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we watched, whatever we saw, whatever comes to mind. I will put this in the lazy river because I did not put this in the news section. Big debut on AEW Grand Slam this week. Saraya, as she has told us it is pronounced. The former Paige in WWE made her debut during the after the 4-way women's match. Chris, I'm gonna let you do your thoughts first because my thoughts are gonna tick some people off.
Okay, this is what I'm not clear on. What's her role going forward here? Is she wrestling or not wrestling?
She is not yet cleared, but I believe the intention is that she will wrestle because WWE would not clear her to wrestle originally, and I think she does want to end her career as a wrestler.
On one hand, AEW's women's division, in my opinion, needs some infusion of freshness.
So you'd say HelloFresh to Saraya?
I don't know if she's America's #1 meal kit, Hawkins.
Well, she's from the UK.
Right. That would be one prohibitive factor for starters. Sometimes you import stuff, but
I can get controversial if you want.
Get controversial. No, go ahead, please.
In the early days of Shake Them Ropes, before Novi was a gleam in my eye as a co-host.
Yeah, I was still just grinding it out, doing the Yowman's work, covering Lucha Underground, which
is it
15 to 20.
Yowmans?
I don't know, but like 15 to 30 Yowman listen to the show every week. So thanks to all of them.
Anyways, when Rob and I were doing the show back in the day, I have dealt with Sasha Banks fans. I have dealt with Becky Lynch fans. I have dealt with fans of women's wrestling from pillar to post. But by far the most annoying fans I've ever had were the Paige fans. Because the Paige fans were excuse makers. Say what you will about super fans of various varieties, but the Paige fans were always, if she ever had a chance to have a great match, you'd see she could have a great match. She's had some very good matches. The match against Tenille Dashwood, Emma, in NXT for that first NXT women's title was good. It's been elevated to great by history, but when she was doing her feud with AJ Lee, at that time, you'll see, here's where she's going to have that great match. And then she wouldn't have the great match. And then everybody would blame AJ Lee for it. Oh, it's AJ's fault. If you just put Paige in there with someone who knew what they were doing, et cetera, she'd have a great match. She had very good matches with Charlotte, and I believe she had a very good one with Becky Lynch as singles, but she's never had a great match, to me, at least watching it. And I've watched her indie runs too. She's good. She's not spectacular. And she hasn't been in the ring for, 6 years now? I think this is a situation where if Sasha Banks isn't available or isn't going to be available to you, you do need to sign her, Saraya. I just don't know. And she's going to be privy to, I mean, the other interesting thing to me is she's going to be privy to, quote unquote, the CM Punk treatment by the women's locker room. And we know there are some people back there in that women's locker room who like to complain. Thunder Rosa, perhaps Britt a little bit, who may not like that their spot is taken by this, this person on the comeback, blah, 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 blah. I don't know for any of that for a fact, but I'm just speculating that, look, when you're there from the beginning and you think you've built something and then all of a sudden, oh, look, new shiny toy, new big star, supposedly, am I going to have to be the one to put them over? That there might be some grumbling backstage too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the issue for me is I don't know, like the Britt Baker Saraya feud immediately lights my world on fire.
Yeah, which is that's the other thing is people were dying for the Jamie Hayter DMD feud.
Oh boy, the big mistake here to me was reversing course yet again with Jamie Hayter.
They pulled a Wardlow. They pulled a Wardlow where the time to turn him was there, and they didn't, and they held it off, and they're gonna wait some more. And by the time they get back around to it, it's not going to be there.
It's not going to be as,
or it's not going
good.
to be as hot.
Yeah. It's not going to be as hot, which is exactly what happened to our boy. They did eventually turn him. Is he belted now? Yeah, but like he wasn't even in the title hunt this time. Like he should be much hotter right now than he currently is.
Your turn on the lazy river, sir.
Ooh, my turn on the lazy river. Okay, I'm gonna. It's kind of a more general thought. So. It's not actually on any specific match, so that's why it's a good place to open up. Right now, there is a kind of more frequent talking point or discussion point about how not so much has changed on WWE television in the Paul Levesque era.
What's your source for this?
Man, do you really want me to slag people?
Are they
like okay?
Are they Twitter users or are they important people?
No. Okay, listen. Oh, then fine. If you're gonna point me on the point here, Lanza basically did a commentary on this, but it's not just Lanza, so I'm not like singling him out. But no, okay, no, you did it, Hawkins. There you go. Pick a fight with Lanza. Yeah, whatever. I guess what I would say, and I'm definitely the second part of this is not like an indictment on him, but like, yeah, listen to the flagship, and Lanza was doing this whole thing on Roman Reigns, and he's talking about the booking of Roman Reigns. All right.
Yes.
But and this is why I don't like doing these sorts of things. I'm not trying to pick fights with specific people.
You could just said people.
No, I apparently couldn't because you wouldn't let me. And like, yeah, like you wanted.
Lanza can take care of himself.
Lanza's fucking gonna be able to handle it just fine.
Okay. Yes.
Wow. I'm
dropping an F-bomb on there. Okay.
Well, I'm a little annoyed when I tried to punt the first time and you didn't let me. Okay.
Chris, I apologize. Go on to your point.
Sheesh. Yeah, pick a fight with someone, Nove. Don't just make your point. No, I'd much rather have you do it in the context of acrimony with someone else.
Chris,
sometimes you are so small. Sometimes you are so petty and cruel.
I legitimately didn't know who was saying this because I had never heard it and I didn't listen to the flagship this week. So I'm outed as not listening to the biggest show on this network. So there we go.
There you go. I mean, so then an option would always be to edit all of this out too.
No, we're not going to do that. Continue.
Okay, great. So on that stellar note, look, in response to that commentary, but it's not like exclusive to him. I do see Twitter talking points on this as well too. Do I have them all isolated and singled out? Not right now, Hawkins. I'll prepare a list for you later on. Feel free to remit payment afterwards. So. Point being, a lot of people think that not a whole lot has changed on the main roster or whatever, or that there's been like insufficient change. I think really when you go bottom to top with the booking patterns on the show here, there really are meaningful changes. There's like longer form, more subtle booking things that go on, like the weird little backstage chaoses and that sort of thing. The match styles are different as well. And I think like, I do think I don't think it's like, the great wrestling show now or whatever, but I also watch this crappy show every single week during the worst period of time that it was on. And when I know that many people online, no, I am not going to rattle them off, but they are people like who you are friends with for sure, who are like, and people who have appeared on this show, by the way, who would say things like, I never watched this show. I don't waste my time watching this show. Okay, fine. But now that the show has changed, you don't have a good frame of reference for what the show used to be versus what the show is now, because you were not watching it. God help you. Good on you too. At the same level of frequency that masochists like me and Hawkins were. I really have seen a meaningful shift in the quality of the show and many different nuances of the show at many different levels. And that's my whole point. Do I think Roman Reigns in the Bloodline is like the greatest title reign I've ever seen now? No. But is it better now in the last 45 days than it has been for the majority of the last 700 days? Yeah, I do. I think the last days 700 to 750 have been far more enjoyable to watch than the first 700 days of his title reign.
I think it's interesting because I know that there's an instilled hatred for Vince McMahon and for what he's done with WWE and for how he's managed his product and for how stupid he's made wrestling at times. And I get that. But when people, it's one of those things where it's like, just because you're complimenting them doesn't mean that you want.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
Waiting for this light to turn green. I'm headed to work for a boss so mean. I'm gonna be late. She's gonna be.
There are some things we should do alone, like sing in your car.
If this light doesn't turn, I'm gonna scream.
But when you gamble, you should always do it with others, because gambling with friends helps keep things in check. So go to keepitfunohio.com for more tips like this. Keep it fun, keep it social, but your singing? Maybe keep that to yourself.
AEW to lose. And it's one of those weird knee-jerk things in wrestling commentariat where you praise one and then all the fans of the other just start piling on you. Oh, does this mean you don't like AEW anymore? No. And just as when I praise AEW, it doesn't mean I hate WWE, even though I kind of hate WWE, but I still watch it because I like the guys on it. I've never been a WWE fan. It's just one of those things. But, you know, you'll see things like the same people who are poo-pooing Logan Paul and Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. And then they tweet later the week, can't wait to see Action Bronson in a tag match with Hook against 2.0. You know, it's like, oh, they're celebrities. They're just pretending, but our celebrities are cool. And you're just like, the discourse is so odd, but I'm going to give some praise because we tend to slight Smackdown because it's on Fridays and you know, it's just our taping schedule. It doesn't give us a lot of time to watch it and go unless we're going to be up till 1 a.m. on Friday, which we don't want to do. But man, that Bloodline the Bloodline Sami thing Friday was such a great piece of business.
No, it's fantastic. That's a thing that wouldn't have happened under the Vince era. To get back to my points, that you made me name names, and I now have to steel man the shit out of my argument. No, that was a tacky move, Hawkins. So
I genuinely didn't know. I genuinely did not know who you were talking about because I hadn't heard this.
Yeah. But no, I think that the promo that happened, the Bloodline segment was outstanding. Roman and all of them have a much looser, less they feel like people doing an improv scene now, comfortable in their characters, rather than people going out there and doing recitations of lines somewhat nervously.
It's interesting because Joe was correct for a while on the whole that this story's not going anywhere with Jimmy and Jay.
Well, no shit, it's not going anywhere.
But they've now come back to it as Jay being the high-strung member of the bloodline and stuff. And part of me I know there's a part that says, man, Sami should beat Roman for the title, blah, blah. That's never going to happen. We know that's never going to happen. But part of me hopes that Roman and Jimmy and Solo Sikoa are genuinely happy to have Sami taking all these shots for them and stuff and going, hey, he's earned his way in, as opposed to it just being a complete and total swerve where they beat him down. I understand that that's probably where it's going, but there's part of me that just seeing the joy on Jimmy and Roman's face when they gave him the shirt. Part of me is like, yeah, maybe this is like one of those times where you can actually like the bad guys because they're actually, they're not playing Sami for a fool necessarily. Sami's actually earned it in here. Of course, they're playing him for a fool, but on the other hand, you kind of want to buy into the reality that, hey, maybe Sami has kind of earned the respect of these guys.
And the crowd was weirdly happy for the guy.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I actually think the ambiguity of who sent Solo is real interesting too. And that would also be, that's the type of booking nuance that Vince just like wouldn't have come up with.
Right.
That's like 1 degree too clever for him. Like, so it's like little beats like that where I'm just like, dude, these moments wouldn't have. He would have just been Uso heavy.
Yeah.
A month ago, or 6 weeks ago, or 2 months ago, whenever Vince left.
Now he's the enforcer. He's the Arn Anderson of the bloodline.
He's the enforcer, but like he's also the bad lieutenant because, and he's the lieutenant that Roman's
not. Is he the bad lieutenant, or is Jay the bad lieutenant?
Right, and that's a real interesting question too, right? And I think that adds to the intrigue. So like, no, the story wasn't going anywhere for eons. It was so endlessly boring. Yes. And in a short period of time, with the introduction of Solo Sikoa, the Sami Zayn injection, and now like this whole thing, like they've now created a completely fresh dynamic amongst this group that is interesting. And all these guys have clear, distinct characters. Yeah, Roman, head of the table, the family guy. Does he like Sami? Is he amused by Sami? Is he like somewhere between disgusted and amused by Sami? Or like, has he slowly started to come to appreciate that this weird little man doesn't seem to have any other interest other than like basically just being around his precious?
We beat the hell out of him and he's still coming around. I'm starting to like him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and when I think the interesting moment was like, what the hell are you doing all this for? Like, what is the point of this? And Sami like legitimately had no answer. I mean, and Sami Zayn, I mean, this was the most ridiculous storyline you could think of, and he's just turned it into gold. He's amazing. I think he's so funny as this character.
Yeah.
He's so good as this character. He's like that Offspring song, Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Yes. It's like Pretty Fly for an Uso.
Yeah. I'll give a little bit of praise for others on SmackDown also. I'm going to praise someone who doesn't get a lot of praise often on this show, and that's Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, and also Lacey Evans.
Nice booking in this match, right? This table, is really well done.
That table spot. Look, say what you will about Liv. Liv wants to be respected by you dopey wrestling fans who say she can't work. And I get that. I'm afraid she may kill herself doing it, but her going through the table is nuts. And Lacey taking the bump. Lacey gets a lot of grief. She's not great. She's a little for the, how do I put this, Chris? On a certain side of the political ledger, people don't like her because she's pro-military.
Name names, Hawkins. No, yes, I get what you're saying.
But I mean, she posted what her back looked like after that match. She's a tough woman. I mean, you don't get into the Marine Corps military police by being dainty. I mean, she took a whooping and going through that table. I mean, they are trying with Liv, and Liv's giving it all she can while we wait for them to put the belt on Ronda. And I actually appreciate this story. I appreciate the Shotzi face turn after screwing her up for months. As a heel, 'cause she should be a baby face.
No, she should be a baby face. I mean, the nice part about the heel turn is that it was so forgettable that it'll be easily to memory hole.
Yes. Michael Cole is fantastic on play-by-play.
Yes, he is.
I'm
He's
going to
actually
say
quite
that
good now.
he
Yep.
is loose. He's able to reference history that he wasn't able to.
Oh my God, the history referencing. The history referencing now on the show is stunning amounts of volume. You are getting completely reinformed of what these people have been doing for the last 2 years. Paul Heyman gets on the mic and gives you history lessons. This never would have happened 2 months ago.
No.
No. But Vince really believed there's only 2 weeks. And that philosophy, thank God, is dead, it appears.
Yeah, it feels... And look, Bailey and Damage Control across both shows. Look, I've overpraised Aunt Pam to death. But the fact is, her as the main villain right now has reinvigorated the women's divisions on both shows, to be honest with you, where it was getting a little bit flat watching Bianca try and carry a feud against bad guy of the week or whoever it was. And over on the SmackDown side, she's helping Gonzalez or Raquel Rodriguez a lot over there. So, I mean, I think this women's division in WWE has gotten exciting for me, especially with Damage Control as your top villains.
Yeah, but I thought in particular that Liv Morgan Lacey Evans match was really look, neither one are exceptional performers or anything, so I'm not saying here like this is an amazing match, guys. Got to go back and watch it.
If you grade it on a curve, it's pretty damn good.
No, if you grade it on a curve, and more importantly, if you think about what the project of the match was.
Yes.
That's where I think this really shines. To me, the project of the match is we need to make Liv Morgan seem like a real threat to Ronda.
Person, yes.
Yeah. And like you left this feeling much more convinced of this than you did at the beginning of the segment. And to me, that's good business. So no, I thought that match was really everything it needed to be. Other than that,
and especially it being refreshing compared to Raw and even the first hour of Dynamite, where it's just nothing but screw job finishes. And Raw was nothing but screw jobs. The first hour of Dynamite, it was like 3, title changes where it just didn't make. I mean, sorry,
God, it was babyface screw jobs and heel screw jobs on AEW in the first hour.
Yeah, it's your turn on the Lazy River.
No, let's run it down. So let's do a first hour AEW since we're already kind of there. Like the Jericho Claudio Castagnoli match. I mean, look, he's in great shape, but are the matches that much better than they have been? I don't know.
I think it's brave to put the title on Jericho, and I think they're going to use the same philosophy they did when they put it on him as the first champ at AEW. It's mostly to try and get
he's
going to
besmirch the honor.
Well, but I mean, it's also Jericho's a name, and maybe we can get a TV deal out of this. That said, the finish of that match where it's just Aubrey having to, all right, I'm not getting hit. I'm going to turn around now in 3 seconds, giving him plenty of time for the nut shot, and just they did at least try the nut shot earlier in the match, and it failed. That was fine. This ending did not tick me off as much as the Acclaimed match did.
No, the Acclaimed match. This ending was eye roll inducing. The Acclaimed match ending actually actively annoyed me.
Yes.
Because that ended with Badass Billy Gunn hitting a famouser on Swerve, the more heel of the Swerve in Our Glory guys, and then the Acclaimed guys finally hit the mic drop and the other thingy, whatever they do. And they get the belts. And after the match, Keith and Swerve are frustrated, annoyed, but at no point do they interrupt the celebration of the Acclaimed, which they absolutely 100% should have.
Yes.
Because you want to keep heat going, and you also need to keep narrative consistency going. Narrative consistency here being achieved by the fact, narrative consistency being achieved by having heels attacking these baby faces who cheated, and are annoyed, and the heat being achieved by giving the Acclaimed a reason to still want to beat up these guys, that they feel like the business isn't done yet.
Swerve has been a jerk throughout this entire tag team thing, and he's just sitting there shocked as opposed to going out there and beating the crap out of somebody.
And they already had the heel epiphany during the last match.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is that Keith had the light bulb moment during the prior match of, oh, heel stuff. That could be cool. And they start doing that. It was, they've already moved a beat beyond where they were. So at this point, when Swerve and Glory lose their titles by, I think what most people rightly would say, outside interference, and what certainly heels would consider to be an unjust screwing of their boys, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that and it does nothing for the Acclaimed as champions. And then to cut to a segment with FTR just getting clowned by the Gunn brothers. Afterwards, you're just like, what are we doing? FTR should have punched him in the face after that promo. I'm just like, the Acclaimed are paper champions, and every other tag team other than the ones that suspended aren't getting much out of this division. And I'm just, it's a little frustrating to me.
No, and the Acclaimed are yet another example of AEW missing the trolley, striking the iron or striking the iron.
They were never going to be hotter than at All Out or whatever it was. And they shouldn't have belted them. They're fine.
No, they fight yesterday's war so often in the booking over there.
I agree.
It's like the biggest mistake of this company is I feel like they're always trying to right the mistake that they made last month.
Okay. All my other Lazy River stuff is AEW based, so I can go into any of them.
Pac defeating Orange Cassidy to retain the AEW All Atlantic Championship. Thoughts?
With a hammer, yet another screw job type thing. And he's a baby face.
Is he? I don't know.
He's been going in and out of the babyface tunnel.
That's true.
Here's something to our interest. I don't know if did you get to see Rampage?
I am not. No, I did hear about the
Great Muta.
Yeah.
Is and it looks like Sting is going to be part of his last match over in Japan. I love Muta. And I loved this moment, Chris. I thought this was great. He got a mist blow in there. He Muta is not the Muta of 1989 anymore, and I'm fine with that. But man, does Muta milk a moment. This whole thing with Buddy Murphy and will he or won't he, and they were doing the whole Hogan at Beach Blast 95 the whole time. But I wouldn't mind seeing Muta and Sting and Darby in a 6-man tag over there in some way.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think Sting sometimes being able to call on his friends from yesteryear to help him out, like his crazy old man friends. I am very pro this. All Muta needs to do for me at this point, though, I don't need him to have matches. I need him to disappear, appear, spray mist, and then teleport. He literally just needs to be a mystical force at this point for me.
He had kind of an Undertaker walk to the ring. Let's put it that way.
Right. No, Hawkins, he doesn't have to work very hard to achieve that at this point.
No, he doesn't, because his knees are shot. That said, the part of this match that scared me, the part of that whole thing, Julia Hart's bumped through that table. She didn't get much of that table except for the lower part of her legs. Her head hit that concrete, man. I screamed. I'm worried. I haven't heard anything about an injury, but it would not shock me if she concussed herself on that thing.
Yeah. And that is a thing that sort of worries about me a little bit about some of the work style over there, especially as you're looking at a guy like Danielson, who is kind of on shaky ground right now with all the concussions and stuff.
Your go.
Okay. We already talked about the DMD. I guess we can main event it. You want to do the main event on this?
If you want. I don't have that on my list.
You don't have anything on Moxley and Danielson?
Nope.
Okay, really? That says something in and of itself. This is the world title for this company.
Well, the other thing is, remember, I do a show all about Dynamite. So it's one of those things where it's I forget sometimes the points I made that I want to bring over that are important enough. I'll make one point about Mox and Danielson. This was Mox and Danielson and cut to MJF. Mox and Danielson cut to MJF. Cut to MJF. They had him on the damn Jumbotron the entire time in the arena if you were watching the match. I don't need to see his look every time somebody hits a move. It just annoyed me the entire time.
I am with you. I think that with the Moxley episode here over the last several months has been a really good example of how you get diminishing returns with increased belts runs. Like he's moving into like Charlotte Flair sort of like title runs.
Ooh.
And yeah, I don't think
expound on that.
I don't think he's better off for being a 3-time champion over 3 months or whatever. I think he would have been better off having been the champion this whole way down.
I think they should have crowned MJF somehow at this event.
Yes, no, yes, and this gets back to fighting yesterday's war. When I'm talking about fighting yesterday's war, Khan in his mind probably has had regrets about ever doing the Punk thing, considering how all this Punk stuff worked out in retrospect. Summer Punk, of course, at one point seemed like a brilliant idea, but I think he, now in his mind, Mox should have always been champion. Mox should have always been champion. And if you're going to transitional champion, which is like, this is the other thing that annoyed me, as you brought up, they kept cutting MJF to the point where, like, do I really care about any of these men as the champion when, like, really, you guys are telling me with all your camera coverage that the guy I'm really supposed to care about is MJF? So, yeah, if that's how you're going to do the coverage of this match, just put it on MJF. But flip of this, I wouldn't have belted Moxley again to be another transitional champion to make it, to give him short title reign number 3. I would have put if you're going to transitional champion anyone, do it on Danielson. Let's check that box. You can't have the belt on him forever. Okay. And he's at least a fresh champion, which sounds like you're actually turning the page a little bit versus going back to Moxley, which does sort of feel like to me a little bit stuck in the mud.
Yeah, I would agree there. I want my champions a little bit. I want them to have long runs and I want them to be powerful. And Moxley's weird because he has a certain credibility to him, but at the same time, I find part of this him being part of Blackpool Combat Club a little fake. You know what I'm saying? It's a little. Because he seems like a lone wolf type.
Right. Roddy Piper would make sense as part of Blackpool Combat Club, but like Moxley's not enough Piper now.
I'm not sold on that thought necessarily, but it's just.
It's not for me to do.
He fits more than Wheeler Yuta. And if Wheeler Yuta, whoever had the idea for him to do a one-on-one promo battle with MJF, should be dragged out in the streets and fired.
Oh boy. MJF cut that dude's nuts off on live television this week.
Yeah, they thought
Jesus.
He thought they'd go with the fiance line.
Oh my God.
She's gonna leave you just like you left all of us. And you think MJF's gonna feel guilty when he's doing a gimmick where he's talking about going to WWE and them bidding for his services.
Who thought that was gonna like connect with the crowd too? Like who worked with him on this?
They sent him out there to die.
They also need to be punished.
They sent him out there to die. They had to.
In a way, like one, if one wanted to get conspiratorial and say like they were tempted to like neuter Wheeler neutered at this point. Wheeler Nuda. It's done now. Yeah, he's the great Nuda at this point.
Oh my God! And speaking of bad, go ahead. You had another point on that.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because like that was done so badly on so many levels.
Yes,
like because he even like started to like go like, your wife who is a lady of ill repute. Oh wait, I should not say that on TV. That's not exactly what I meant.
He didn't want to slut shame because the fan base would have gone on Twitter and your
it's hoochie cheap. Mama fiance. Oh, yeah, I am so sorry about that. That's not what I meant.
Can you believe they got sexist with a cheap heap like that? I can't believe that myself.
It would have been better than this.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, because yes, nerds would be coming at you about that, but it's better than nerding out on yourself and going like, oh, actually, I shouldn't have said that. Jeez Louise. Like, and then MJF can just like start giving you a swirly right there on live TV.
Okay, Chris, I have a fork in the road here because I can go my last 2 points. One is bad promos, but the other is the Nerds on is tangential to the Nerds Online one. Which one do you want? Because you know one of them already.
Oh, let's do the Nerds Online. We can always circle back to the other bad promo.
To Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
All right. So they do this setup for the Rampage match with Jade Cargill and Diamante. And Diamante's OG baddie from Miami is Trina. Chris, did you know who Trina was?
No clue.
Okay. No, this helps my point somewhat, but at the same time,
I actually thought it was Katrina from Lucha Underground until I saw the show.
I need to do a public service announcement because it's both sides of the debate here that have an issue. I'm a little bit annoyed by one more than the other. But if there's a pop culture person that you do not know, it's okay to ask, who is that person? My caveat is you need to know how to ask, because God knows who the F is Trina. All right, that's a little rude. But if you're asking who Trina is, it's fine. Or you can wait a few seconds and somebody will post it on Twitter for you and be able to figure it out.
Yeah, you also always have Google available to you. So be careful when you say who is Trina on a social media account, when especially the answer is actually very easily punched into Google.
Well, yes.
Twitter is not your Google.
Yes,
Go to Google.
But on the other hand, the people whose sphincters tighten up, and it only happens when it's hip hop artists, because there's that underlying accusation of it's racism to not know who someone who was on a rapper in 2014 was. I am of the opinion that there are pockets of pop culture that everybody doesn't know, be it a TikTok influencer, be it Impact or TNA bringing in third string country / NASCAR drivers, be it rap artists and AEW's embrace of that.
Noted guitar player. I mean, like, look, dude, like no one knows
Poppy,
everything. Yeah,
I don't know who the hell Poppy was. And I was educated by Twitter, and I get that. But there are some people who go out of their way to shame the people who are asking these questions. And I understand if they're being rude about asking, saying nobody knows who that is. Well, hold off. All right. Maybe some people do. But on the other hand, going hard the other way to say, how dare you ask this question about who this person is, when everybody in this community obviously knows who it is.
That's overwrought. I would just take their stupid question, run it into Google, and give the link back to the poster. If someone is stupidly, obliquely posting something like, who is Poppy? And they're trying to be snarky or whatever, you don't have to get on a high horse.
You don't have
to
go to Google.
Go to Google. Take their exact post, put it into Google, and link them back to the search results, because that's where they should have went in the first place.
I will accept that.
And that's a perfectly fine, instructive, and corrective.
And as long as the TV actually puts the name on screen, because God knows, it's like, that's Trina. Okay. Can you give me a little more context, Excalibur?
No,
because if I just put Trina into Google, I won't know who that is.
No, but like I will say, nothing annoys me more though. Like when we live in this world, you have computers in your pockets, people. If you don't know who Trina the wrestler is, get in your damn phone.
She's not a wrestler.
Type in Trina. But like, dude, I mean, seriously, we're on the air right now. I'm gonna play this game with you. Trina.
Rap?
Trina.
She's a rapper, not a wrestler, Chris.
I thought wrestler AEW actually auto populates on Google as I'm doing this.
Okay. Well,
Trina makes it, like yes, and I'll happily backlink that to your Twitter account as well.
No.
Like, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of tactless.
I thought
you were a little. No, I know. But then when you were like, I'm not editing it out, I'm like, okay, cool. Then I just have to roast him for the rest of the
I'm just
episode
lazy.
now.
It's just I hate editing shows.
Right. So now I have to roast you for the rest of the show.
I used to pay you to edit these things.
I know, and I don't do that anymore. Like, yeah, so you gave me no choice here. But yes, if you actually go onto your Google, most of the time, I don't know who Poppy, the musician, is. I don't know who
yes.
so-and-so, the puppet, is. You can usually answer these questions for yourself.
I am
and you
freely
don't have to
in the middle here, Chris. You don't need to get on me about this.
No,
I hate both sides of it.
I get on this particular nuanced debate. On the other side, I am also annoyed with the culture hipsters because I feel like all cultures and subcultures have hipsters, and like it's like, oh well, you would know that, oh, it's a very obscure rapper, oh, it's a very obscure indie band, you would know that if only you. Like, it's the same crap. It's a different day, but it's the same crap on that front. I am annoyed that we're like in like the I don't know this age when you literally have a computer sitting in your pocket. Do you
have another word to go, or should we end with the Marina Shafir promo?
We can wrap on Marina, sure.
My God.
Actually, no, I want to do Judgment Day afterwards.
Oh, you want to do the Judgment? Well, we can. Okay. I'll finish up then with Marina. You want to do Judgment Day now or Marina Shafir now?
No, let's do Shafir now.
This was level 1 sketch comedy where Marina Shafir has the easiest character in the world. She is the silent, angry, violent half of a tag team with a far more charismatic energy type of partner.
Now, how would you costume such a character?
Chris, the hood was fine, although I did make the joke that Awesome Khan and Saeed from TNA, there's a little bit of that going on with those two when they do that. But I'll tell you what
I'd go with Farmer John joins the Spice Girls.
Would you go with a straw hat?
Yeah.
Summer straw hat and pastel clothing and coming out here to cut a promo on Albany,
Farmer
New York.
John's gone to Lilith Fair is the outfit.
And then the promo is Albany, you know me. And I think the nuance was supposed to be pointing into the camera and saying, you don't know me. But it came off very Al Snow and Head bipolar-ish.
Oh, it's so weird where it's like, she's like, you guys are part of the problem. But like, again, when especially with the opening line, like, I'm the son of these people who came here. I am their problem. And then like, basically it sounded like at various points, she was like including them into her own personal identity. I embrace Albany as truly part of me, Marina, the problem.
If you want to know how bad I am at sketch comedy at times, this was, or even short form, we had to do these things where we had to come up with characters for bits and stuff like that. I just found them stupid because they weren't real improv. They were kind of playing your thing. But this is what are you gonna do? I'm gonna cut this promo. Wear this funny hat. It's Norm Macdonald as Turd Ferguson on Celebrity Jeopardy. Yeah, but I got a giant hat now.
Where did I get this thing?
Look, I got a hat on, and I'm doing this promo. Oh, she doesn't have to say anything. She's an ass kicking MMA fighter who's.
But you sent me this late before the show, and I'm like sitting on my couch and listening to it. Like I'm not watching, I'm just listening to it. And I get back up and walk back around to like see what's on the screen. And I was flummoxed. So I was like, what the hell is she wearing? Who thought the promo was bad enough on the merits with the words?
Tony, yes. I'm in my hometown. Can I do a promo, please? Well, sure, Marina.
Tony, what should I wear? I have the perfect outfit for you.
Strong.
I just got done working on the banger MJF Wheeler Yuta segment. It's going to be awesome. Let's get you suited for Rampage.
Let's get you looking like you're going to a corn maze afterwards. Oh, God.
Where is the nearest Oktoberfest Fall Festival? Can't wait to go.
We need to drink something pumpkin spice while doing this promo.
No, she comes out with a giant jug of apple cider. She's just chugging it the entire time. Look, Judgment Day. Judgment Day is infinitely better in the post-Vince era than they were during the Vince era.
Yes.
Like, people, I'm going to hit this drum one more time before I'm out of here. Because, like, this is another clear indicator of improved booking. Vince McMahon never would have had the sort of, in my opinion, like, look, it's the best this gimmick can possibly be. Making Rhea the engine that drives the car, brilliant.
Interesting, very interesting.
I think it's a great move. I think it's much better. Look, Balor and Priest are strong enough and complete enough entities, as it were. And it just works. She's pulling Dominic's strings. And like, you know, she's in like all three of them are working as like a real cohesive triumvirate with no clear leader other than maybe Rhea. I love it. I think this is. I mean, is Dominic Mysterio a great generational talent now? Hell no. Hell no. Stop it. You stop yourselves.
Rhea being allowed to attack men is interesting in some ways, unless she gets but she needs to get a comeuppance at some point.
I'm fine with, here's the thing. Of anyone on that roster, the person I'd be most interested in seeing have like an intergender match would be Rhea.
I'll tell you the other thing I really liked. I loved, and this goes into the included subtext now of Judgment Night. I loved the interplay between Finn and AJ Styles, playing on the Bullet Club history, but AJ rejected him, and we know it's eventually going to turn to, eventually Finn's going to knock him out or whatever, jumping from behind. But I just like having that week of, nah, man, I always liked you. It was just an offer, and just walking away. I liked that, Chris. It was nuanced for what this company does, although,
dude, I mean, much more nuanced.
Although Ray
going
ain't
back to
knocking
history.
My son, Edge, I have a son. His name was Dominic. He is now a member of the Judgment Night. You're a father, Edge. I have a son named Dominic.
I have no notes. I think every week Rey Mysterio gets better and better on the microphone.
Well, he gets Emmy on this. That's the question.
No, I hope he gets nominated for some of his work here. Especially, I mean, it's very nuanced. But do you notice how he still sells the eye?
Yes. All right, we're gonna end it there. My name is Jeff Hawkins for now. You can follow me at Crap Game 13. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes. I am also a part of Fight Game Media, doing the Dynamite show on Wednesday nights. Patreon.com/Fight Game Media. For $5 a month, you can listen to my hot takes on Dynamite with one Paul Ace Fontaine, Ring of Honor historian that he is. Chris also has a Patreon. It's not about wrestling, but it's nonetheless interesting. You follow him at DWATG. He's going to tell you what that stands for now.
Yeah, it's not that interesting right now. I haven't put out a show in like 5 weeks, but we're going to try to do one at some point here. Don't worry about the
boats.
Yeah, I've been on. I know. And I'm also like working 7 days a week right now, so it's just like not happening. But don't worry about the government. Can be found at patreon.com/DWATG. Also on Twitter at DWATG. You can follow my musical antics on Instagram, DOCTOR_NOV, Dr. Nove on Instagram. Follow all my musical antics over there. And that's it, man. Nova Marino
thanks
is my
again
name.
Thanks again to HelloFresh. Get up to 14 free meals across 7 packages.
No, it's 16. It's 16 meals across 7 meal kits. 3. I tell you this every week.
Thanks to HelloFresh and Joe Lanza.
Your favorite band's about to play a sold-out show. You got in.
Over here.
With a friend. And found a spot close enough to see the set list. They're definitely playing your song. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. Music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!